Oh, you know what we could do?
What can we do?
Oh, we could do live from Hawaiian Hut, and it's just me eating
when
I'm really high. I'm just macking
Live
down
from
Hawaiian Hut.
Dude, we bringing Hawaiian Hut in this bitch. That's
and then we
doing.
could do the next episode is the morning after at the point. I come get some eggs.
And then we had to do an episode where Matt Casey tattoos Heckleproof on my ass cheek.
Right, live.
But we working off the Hawaiian Hut on the treadmill at the courthouse.
Wearing sweatbands, courthouse sweatbands.
And then finally, the end of the
Hot
night.
Wings challenge wearing courthouse sweatbands.
And at the end of the night, you go out and check out a Road Comedy Underground show.
Oh.
It's a trifecta.
So you go to Matty's on Friday, then go to Chadwick's on Saturday.
Oh,
Yes,
there it is.
sir.
See,
There
look
it
at that.
is.
And come do an open house with me on Sunday.
Oh, shit. Look at that.
And come do porn in Levi's sex dungeon on Monday evening because, it's got to be at a weird time.
It's the Heckleproof Comedy Podcast with Zach Bolton and Carl Lee and Matty J.
What's up? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Heckleproof Podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yes.
I'm your boy, Carl Lee.
I'm Zach B.
And I am Matty J.
And we are Heckleproof.
It's been a while. We're in a new studio space live from Levi's sex
Got a
dungeon.
new spot.
It's like an episode of How to Make a Sex Room, but
I don't know
they
this
didn't
one.
finish it.
I just hummed the Jeffersons because we're
that's
moving
what
on up
That's true.
to the east side.
Of Ashland.
With a deluxe apartment in the sky.
It's actually in the strip
Yeah,
mall.
we're moving on up.
Actually, I'm proud of you, Levi.
Yeah, we are. This
know.
is the first time I've ever known Levi to be housed.
I don't know what you're doing illegally to afford this, but you're doing a great job of it.
This dude got this shit look like a pawn shop and Best Buy and a Goodwill
And a Barnes and Noble with the bookshelf back.
in one.
It looks like the employee break room at the Piggly Wiggly.
It looked like some of everything. That's what it should be called, some of everything.
Well, it's a good thing, It's like Levi, Levi's overcome a lot. And that's what this episode is about, actually.
Yeah.
Talking about, following your dreams. And when you're following your dreams, you're trying to do your thing. A lot of times there's adversity. And this is all about how to overcome the adversity that's in the way of you doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Preach.
That's right. And Levi's making a bunch of noise to create some adversity for us right now in the studio. I don't even know what he's doing. He's moving a ladder around. This is he's definitely not charging us for this episode.
yeah, we
I don't
can
think anymore.
See, we can overcome this shit he about to do.
He's now climbing up to the rafters, which I can only assume means he's going to
some
commit
ankle
suicide.
socks on.
Yeah.
He's climbing up the ladder. Looking like he going to get, what's the girl name who had the long hair?
Rapunzel.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he look like. He's going to get some Rapunzel. Come here, girl.
Well, it's Levi's overcome the adversity of being homeless, and he's now homed. And so we're real proud of you for that, Levi. Thank you so much for having us into your new home.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And I know personally, I like to try a lot of stuff, hobby-wise, new things all the time. Like I'm never satisfied. I'm always a student of something new. So I've always got to have a project or a hobby that I'm trying to aim for. And what I've noticed is every time I have a goal or I have a new hobby, the world will put adversity in the way of me starting the new thing. Right about the time I'm getting ready, there will always be some kind of adversity. And it seems to me like it's almost this weird test. The world is saying, do you really want this thing that you're asking for? So it's going to give you this hurdle that you got to jump. I don't know if that happens to you guys in your endeavors.
No, I can relate to that.
Get like a big show coming or something like that. There's always like something pops up. You flat tire on the day of the show. And you still got to get there. And so this is all about what you can do to minimize the impact when stuff goes south or when you start listening to the voices in your own head telling you can't.
Yeah.
Because it's your own voice.
That's right.
It is. Isn't that interesting? Does it seem like a whole nother part of you?
It's like two people.
Yeah, Exactly. That's interesting. Like a whole nother part of you that just goes
that self-doubt is like a completely other person.
Yeah.
Right. And they say that it's a mixture of a protection mechanism. It's the side of you that makes you skeptical. It's the side of you that makes you fearful of the dark place you haven't gone before because what might be there. And it's also the side of you that makes rational, calculated decisions and keeps you from jumping off the deep end. So it's not always a negative thing, but that same side that will keep you on track can also tell you, are you sure?
It's just a very fine line.
Right.
That makes sense.
And I don't know, what do you guys, in that voice, in that moment when that happens to you, what's that voice tell you?
I think it depends on the situation.
Me too. Yeah, the situation. I've been very fortunate that a lot of things I never really had to ask anything. It seemed like God, universe, source, whatever you want to refer to them as bring something to me because I just believe the timing is right. And so when it comes, what I do have to realize is, okay, relax and still let the process play out.
Yeah.
Because I'll get a phone call for something big, whether it's stand-up or whether it's in mental health or just something comes my way, and now I'm excited. Like, for example, man, I just was, like, booked for to do cruises with Boys to Men. Temptations going to be on there, In Vogue, and I was going to be the comedian. And I was, like, stoked. I'm going about my business like this shit is happening. Right. My wife was excited, and just, like, because, Boys to Men, my band, I'm just excited. And then I was trying to get some details figured out as far as getting my wife accommodation set up. And then I got the word that it wasn't happening because he discovered me too late. They already had lineups. And he was just like, I can't get you in this one. I was just like, and immediately I was just like, cool.
Yeah, you didn't really affect you.
Cool. But then there's other opportunities that come for something else.
That was just like it wasn't meant to be then. Kind of
right.
Thing.
Yeah.
So do you think that's like, has it always been that way for you, or is that just like years of growth and understanding?
Yeah, years of growth, faith, and just knowing I'm always going to be very fortunate and blessed to get mine.
Totally.
Right. Whether it's in the moment or whether it's the next year when they call you.
Yeah.
Because you were so cool about them needing to move the schedule and be like, we do want to work with him.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
do it.
Totally.
And because I remember, man, the same thing happened to me with when Snoop Dogg had his TV show Doggy Fizzle. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Had a sketch comedy show similar to Dave Chappelle's. That's where he got his inspiration from. I got contacted about auditioning, and as soon as I was making plans to audition, the show got canceled. Dang. And it was like, God damn.
Dang.
It's like, why even show it to me if I can't get it?
The show got canceled. That was in 2003. But you're right, that's a good point. Why even show it? Why even come my way? But that's a good point. That's something I never thought about a process.
Well, and in that moment, like, for example, faith means something different to everybody. Sometimes faith is a religious faith. Sometimes it's faith in yourself. Sometimes for some people it's faith in the universe or a higher order of things, right? But in a way, that could be your test, right? Because here you're putting something out there like, I want this big thing. I want this big show, working with people I haven't worked with before, push myself. So this could be that thing where the universe is testing you, going, how bad do you want it? Mm-hmm. Because if the first time I tell you can't have it, you get mad and you walk away and say, I'm never working with that booker again, then maybe you short your own opportunity. Whereas if you have that faith in yourself, in your higher power,
and the belief,
it's like, what's not meant for me now is meant for me later.
Because I can go to the other side. Well, it's just not meant for me. I'm never going to get it. I could just totally be negative thinking.
And is that how the younger Carl would have reacted?
That's a good point.
If you lost a big opportunity, how would Carl at 30?
Yeah, probably would have shook him up. But I was very fortunate too, because a lot of things that did come my way, a lot of it stuck, and it was just like things I never thought about, things I didn't pursue, things I wasn't going after would just fall in my lap.
Yeah,
and it was just like, oh shit. So I had those moments, things I did not even. But the same thing was with the Soul Train cruise. That's what it would have been, Soul Train cruise. That the Doggy Fizzle stuff, everything just coming my way. It was like, oh, but some things I guess was like almost like God saying, "You're almost there."
Yeah, it's almost your turn.
Like putting something in front of you, to putting these, so you can, start putting in the labor so you can receive your fruits on another level. And that's all I did was just started to focus my eyes on a level. Because once you show me something and I was this close, that means I'm on that level. I'm meant to be there.
You're at least part of the conversation, which is a big thing to even be talked about.
So let me make that shift to totally put myself in that space to know, like, I'm going to be the equivalent of that. Never, like, you can be shocked to feel like, me, that's happening to me? Because you doubt yourself. Or you think, how is this coming along? Or you could be the total opposite, like, you goddamn right, it's supposed to be mine.
Right.
And that's where.
And I was going to ask that same thing of Zach. I mean, being in real estate, it's something that you have to work for and you have to earn. You get your license, you learn as much as you can, you shadow other people, and then you get, your first few listings. But then all of a sudden you get that big listing.
Yeah.
Right. The one that you almost feel like, oh man, like, this is a little early for this to be happening. So when that happens to you in that sort of phase, when you first got that, what was your mind telling you?
I mean, my thought process has always kind of just been, even with real estate, I mean, everything that I've done work-wise a lot of times has been in the sales industry, and it's just been on different scales. So the process is already like so familiar to me as far as like working with clientele, and then doing transactions and then having one that was bigger. It's the same exact process as if I were selling like a, $50,000 mobile home, or manufactured home, I should say. As selling a $5 million mansion. The processes are all the same as far as like the inspection period and the contract, the addendums and everything are all the same. So it's not like it's getting past that mindset of like, oh, this is a huge deal, don't fuck it up. It's just like having that confidence and being like, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional for a reason. You can have the confidence in me to get this done.
Right. And then being a professional.
And myself as well.
And being a professional in anything, there's always that first one.
Oh, that's
where you don't really have any history to draw from. You're in the moment. You got to close this deal.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine there's some small version of yourself in your head going, can I really do this?
Can I do this? Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point, like a little pinnacle, I feel like, that you hit and you're like, oh, I can do this. Like, I'm doing this.
Yep.
I'm actually
I got some traction.
This. Yeah. And I think there's so many examples with, entertainment as far as music or even sports where athletes have been told no. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team and he went on to be the greatest player to ever play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's crazy because he could have just given it up right there and been like, I wasn't meant to play basketball.
Right. And I think that's so important is whenever you're starting something new is you don't have a confidence to draw from yet.
Right.
But sometimes I find little other things in your life, you could draw confidences from those and take them to that. Like I think about sometimes if I'm in a big interview for a job and I'm going, oh, wow, I finally scored this interview. And then you get that, what I hear referred to as imposter syndrome, right? Where your brain's telling you like, are you good enough? Can you really are you qualified?
Kind of self-sabotage yourself.
Right.
A little bit.
And when that happens, I mean, it can easily make you shrink up and not perform.
Yeah.
In the middle of that interview, all of a sudden you're not confident. There's a lot of things
reserved.
That can happen. And oftentimes I know for me, one thing that helps out when that self-doubt comes is I look at past experiences that were really challenging, whether it's emotionally or physical or mental or maybe all three.
Yeah.
And realize like, well, if I did that thing, I should be able to do this thing.
Yeah, totally.
And a great local kind of legend guy, Tipo Vernado, he was a local spoken word poet, just all around fantastic human. But I remember him always saying like the ladder to success, every rung is made of a mistake that you learn from. So you can't climb up there without having made those mistakes and learning from those mistakes. So that's, he always thought, if I'm trying something new, every time I fuck up, it's just one step closer to the top. And I thought, oh, that's a killer way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of focusing on one didn't go right.
Yeah.
He's just looking at it like, if there's 10 rungs on the ladder, he's just going 9. Something else happens, 8.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you're at that top.
Yeah.
I think you're right when it comes to like pulling that confidence and that experience from other parts of your life and using it and like you said, new endeavors or an interview or something that you haven't done before. And I think that's how you gain like that process and that voice in your head of I can do this, like I can do anything, and that faith or whatever it may be, that whatever faith you believe in. But I think that is, I think you hit it on the head, Matty, that is the key to building that habit of that voice and using it in different areas of your life.
Right. I remember the first couple big comedy opportunities I had, that self-doubt popped into my mind, like, oh man, what am I going to do now? I want to represent myself, and should I change my routine? Should I do all of this? And, needing to draw from something. I talked to other comics that I knew in the business and said, like, man, what was it like for you in your first real big opportunity? What did you do? What did you tell yourself? And it's funny because everybody's process is different. But a great friend of mine, who I won't name because of his answer, he said, it doesn't matter how many shows I do, I'm always terrified until the first joke hits. And this guy has done really, really big shows. Like, and I I always try to remember that too. It's like, get through that first joke. It's almost a metaphor for life. Get through that first mistake.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you realize it's not so bad to make a mistake when you're trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, I can relate to that a lot because, as you guys know, last summer I started doing stand-up. And I did my first big opportunity, like you said, was at Los Arcos. We put on a show, and there was like 4 or 5 comedians, and I was second to last. And
that's pressure in of itself. To be on the end of the show.
We weren't trying to promote it as like a particular order, but it was just like, they're like, I brought a lot of the audience, so he's like, we'll have you go second to last. So there was probably like 130, 140 people. It was a good crowd.
That's a big crowd for a first time.
Yeah, for my first like real, other than like open mic stuff. Right. So I get there and I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm welcoming people. I was early, and we go back in the little area where we had kind of curtained off, and I'm getting ready to go up, and I'm going over my jokes, and I'm starting to get real nervous, and I'm like, shit, man. This is crazy. Like, this is it. But the moment,
my people are here.
Yeah, we played intro songs too, which we were just kind of joking around. I played Bad Bunny, that Mexican artist for mine. It was funny. So I got up there and I'm all dancing, and right when I was still nervous when I was walking up on stage, and right when I started talking, I was just like, something hit me, and I was just like, dude, you could do this. You've been through, it's like stuff flashed in my head. I'm like, dude, I've been through so much shit in my life. Like, this is nothing. Like, this is what you've always wanted to do. And I just, like, at that point, my nerves were calmed. I did my thing, and I was like, dude, this was sick. Like, I felt so good.
Right.
I felt so good. I gave I only did like 20 minutes, but killed it.
That's a good point of what you did. You allowed yourself to pull confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And some people
from other areas,
some people have a little bit of trouble with that because they feel like if they're too confident, it'll come off as arrogant. A lot of the new guys in comedy, like, I want to look cocky.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in anything, there's a certain amount of fake it till you make it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You got to get through that first thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a point too in that show that I had never done anything like this, but there were people in a table to the left, and they were there to see somebody else, and I could hear them talking, and I never understood. I always heard you at Chadwick's, talking about people talking and like keep it down. And I never understood how much you could actually hear when you're up there. And it's like, it was loud. It was like I was having a conversation with these people where they were trying to talk to me. So I was like, hey, could you guys shut up? I'm like, I promise whatever you're talking about, my shit's funnier. So you paid to see me. You can talk about whatever you're talking about after. And they like stopped talking after that. But I was like, dang, I didn't know you could actually hear that much.
Oh yeah, man.
Well, I like relating it to comedy. This being a comedy podcast, we don't often talk a lot necessarily about the ins and outs of doing comedy. But I remember I had written some jokes for a friend of mine to test out whether or not my writing was going to work, and watching him do those jokes on stage and then them working was one of the things when I finally got up and did stand up. That was what I was pulling from. It's like, I've been funny before. It's just somebody else said it.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
I think the thing is once you starting from the bottom and just watching watching the progress and the process happen, that's the most, the best thing you can experience. Like, especially in stand up, in real estate, because stand up, you see the big dogs.
Yeah.
In real estate, you see the big dogs. You see the billboards.
Oh, yeah.
You see all
I
that.
work with them.
Yeah, exactly. So you have something to refer to. And that's the key, having something to refer to, because pretty sure you have mentors.
Yeah, totally.
And same thing with me. And they were the ones who I always looked at.
Yeah.
Something to refer to say, okay, this is what it takes, and that's what it's about.
And to be honest, like back to like what you asked me about doing big deals and stuff like that, that's what made me the most nervous and created some of that self-doubt, is when I would do a transaction with one of those big dogs, right? And I'm just like,
doubt that's not normally there.
It's like, I'm doing a deal with one of the best real estate agent, a 1% agent in the nation right now.
Yep.
Right.
Like, this is crazy. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want them to think I can't handle this, but also from that helped me draw the confidence of, okay, I got to make sure that I do everything that I can do to make this deal work.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm in the room. I'm here for a reason. And that's when I started dawning on me. Every time I turn around, I'm, over the years, just keep working with big names. I'm just like, I'm here.
Yeah, as your resume builds, and you think more and more. And a friend of mine asked me that about when we did that Criterion show. He goes, man, were you nervous because you're opening that show? And that's a lot of people. And it's like, well, I'm nervous every time I do comedy in a small way, but it's more about, I'm nervous that I'm going to give you a good show.
Right.
It's never necessarily about me thinking about, is this individual joke landing or whatever. It's like, did the people walk away with a good show, or did the people walk away with a good transaction? In your case, how did it feel for everybody that was in the room? And he said, well, what did you do before the show? And I said, nothing. I sat in the back room. I heard the sound of the crowd. It was a bigger sound than I was used to hearing. I tried to focus on being in the moment and enjoying it too, because there's a certain amount of, in anything new, it's really exciting in the beginning. And man, if you're so tied up on thinking about these kind of self-doubt thoughts or negative thoughts, you might not even enjoy it. And so I told him, I said, the biggest thing I was focusing on, other than just remembering my routine and the basic stuff, was I want to enjoy this moment. I'm finally where I want to be. Or you're finally sitting across the table from that agent, right?
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the moment. And I can only enjoy this moment if I can draw some sort of background information or past history to put me there, let me know I'm supposed to be there. For whatever reason, I chose to be here. The path was there. I took the path. I did all these little steps. It ended up being here. I'm supposed to be here in this moment. So if all of that stuff is aligned for your new hobby or your new venture, and you now have the resources to do it and the time to do it and the ability to do it, when you take that step and you're terrified in the beginning and it's not going to be good, whatever it might be in the very beginning, you still want to enjoy it. Because there's so many people that you talk to in any field for any kind of thing, and they say, man, that exhilaration of the first time I got on stage, or the first time I closed that big deal. Or for me, like in music, the first time I wrote a song where other people really liked it. It's such an exhilarating moment. And if you don't forget those voices, and tell them to go away, if you don't forget to enjoy that moment, it's gone.
Right.
I remember the first time I did comedy, I don't even remember that night. I remember getting on the stage. I was terrified. I was supposed to do 5 minutes. I did 3 minutes out of 5 minutes because I went way fast.
I think I was the same when I
went
did my
really
first
fast.
show.
And at the end of the night, my buddy was like, how did that feel? And I was like, honestly, I have no idea. I feel like
you're
I
so
blacked out.
nervous, and you're just like, I just want to make sure I say everything.
And I was bummed the next morning when I woke up, because I wanted to remember it. And I was so out of the moment. I wasn't present.
Yeah.
I was so in my head that I didn't remember any of it. And
that's normal though.
Right. And so, and that's part of what this is about too, is every step of that ladder to get you from 0 to 10 of success in whatever you're doing.
Right.
You want to embrace that, you want to embrace being a beginner.
Yeah. And you got to be okay with having to step down off that ladder and start over.
Well, and I think with that too, it's also important to share that experience with people that are in that similar situation, other comics or other agents, because I think as humans, what we don't realize is it's normal for that stuff to happen. And most everybody goes through it. You know, I could talk to agents and they probably have nightmare deals that they've been through. We could talk to every comedian has a show that they're like, man, this show didn't hit, and I hate that I said that joke.
And that might be
that might ruin
2 years into your career when that time happens.
Yeah, exactly. Like Kevin Hart was just saying how, you know how many pilots he's shot? He shot so many pilots.
I can imagine.
And they never hit. And he said that he got brought on John Stamos' show. I think it's called Jeff the Project, something, but John Stamos. And the show was successful. Kevin said he was brought up there to do 5 episodes. After he did 2, they canceled John Stamos' show. So he's like the common denominator.
But that's the thing. So that he makes it funny, but like he knows deep down that he's been so successful in what he's done that it's not him that's the issue.
But all that, he had to change the game up because he was going so hard thinking, I got to get this. Like this is, but that wasn't the mark. That wasn't his mark.
I've never done a lot of television. I mean, the podcast is the closest thing to being on camera in many ways, you know, for me, because it's always been more about stand-up. But I imagine that unless you're able to ground yourself and be in the moment, you can't perform in show business in that way. Like, you know, how are you supposed to break into character all the way if you can't break out of your own?
That's the whole point of acting, is being in that moment of whatever the script is, for sure.
So it's like... using that same thought, it's like whatever your hobby is or whatever your aspiration is, your goal, if you're in the moment every step of the way that you can be, you're really going to have success even against your own fumbling ways. It's going to happen. It's just like there's this thought that every time life throws a wave at you, it's either going to knock you backwards, you're going to rise up and rise down, or sometimes that wave will push you forward on the other side of it, right? And so it's about learning to enjoy surfing. Yeah. And not worrying about if that wave is going to be a forward or backwards. Yeah. It's just learning to enjoy the ocean right in the moment. And you might get smacked by your board sometimes when that big wave comes, but you also have to laugh about that. That's a memory in and of itself. You're going to tell your friends that story. Ebbs and flows.
Yeah. I've been in situations that were huge, but it wasn't meant for me. I wasn't ready for it. It felt like shit, felt crappy, the experience.
Did you ever have one of those where you let self-doubt take over?
I think I did, was the Def Comedy Jam audition.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, that's big.
I think that was one.
But even with that, you made it through on that audition.
And that was Last Comic Stand.
Oh, that was Last Comic.
But Def Comedy Jam, I got brought out to Detroit to do it. And I wasn't used to. I came up with diverse rooms, and Def Jam is, we all know, that's predominantly black. Yeah. And then I get in that room, and all the comics that are there, all the people you've seen on Def Jam before, all the black shows, they were there, and I just did not click. That wasn't my thing, my stick. That wasn't my stick, whatever, and it didn't work for me. It didn't feel right, so I just went through it, and I just knew, like, so much for that.
Are you sure it wasn't an actual like Def Jam? It was deaf people; they just couldn't hear the jokes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Is that?
Yeah, because one of them just kept doing like this to her friend.
So did you? And this was laughing. Here's a very white question of me to ask. Very white question. Did you have imposter syndrome, like you weren't black enough in that room?
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly.
Dang.
Yep. And
that's crazy.
But the thing is, what's cool is I look back, the people who found me and brought me in, they believed in me. They saw something. Mm-hmm. So then I had another. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and the club owner said BET is coming through. They're doing auditions. He called me up in my hotel room, was like, I want you to come down. I want them to see you. And I'm like, all right, I go down there. It didn't go. And it might be going back to what Matty said. I wasn't black enough. But the fact that
well, and that's not a real thing, but that's a thing that you can tell yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like you feeling that way could have even held back your routine that normally would have been confident and pulled more laughs.
Yeah. I don't even know what.
I did a room like that I felt like I was too poor.
That makes sense.
And honestly, I looked around the room and everyone in there looked like country club plus 10. I mean, I'm looking around at these people and even what they're wearing, and I'm going like, oh man, okay, this is a different element. And I was not raised in that environment at all. Mm-hmm. You know, like what we thought was a fancy restaurant, those people would have laughed at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I had a bad set that night because I had this imposter syndrome of like, I'm not rich enough to make these people laugh.
What can I say that's going to relate to your
right,
rich?
Right,
These people don't understand my world. You know what I mean?
How are they going to laugh?
That's it, man.
And here's the thing. If I would have let myself just be myself confidently, do my normal routine the way I'd love to do it, chances are it breaks through, because that's normally what happens in my shows is people come up to me after the shows and they look like people that never enjoy my comedy. And it's because it breaks through. They're not used to it.
Just getting in our head.
But if I come out, and I'm in my head, like I was, it can ruin your whole thing. I've done that with music shows. I read the room and I thought maybe it wasn't going well and I let it affect my performance. And then I've had nights where that happens on stage. And as soon as it happens, I'm like, nope, not today, Satan.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be up here.
You just take the reins.
I know what I'm doing.
Not today, Satan.
Not today,
Not
Satan.
today, devil.
Exactly. There we go. But no, I think the adversity was going through the ups and downs, having, not being able to walk, get in them rooms, not being able to get in with the clique. Just being able to create that just allowed me to start creating my own lane.
That creates the humbleness too of it.
Stay true to who I am and where I want to be.
I feel like that creates the humbleness of it too, because that's when you have the highs and then you've experienced the lows as well. You know that it's like, okay, this could either be really good or it could be really bad. So, And
the thing is I've always stayed in my lane and stayed true to who I am. Growing up in the projects in the ghetto, it was nothing but crime and dope game and a bunch of bullshit around me. But I was never going that way. I never resorted to that. I always stayed true to I just want to be an entertainer. I was staying true to being Michael Jackson, New Edition, just enjoying myself. And
like, so I'm going to be on that marquee no matter what it is, whether or not I'm a performer or
I just didn't want to do that. And I
was
was made fun of because I was dressed like a breakdance. I was just like Michael Jackson. I was dressing like New Edition. Years went by. I was just like Belle Biv DeVoe. I was just like Bobby Brown.
If you didn't dress a little bit like Michael Jackson, you're lying.
Exactly. You are a damn
a liar.
If you were a teenager.
Everybody took something from Michael.
Yeah, but I stayed true to it. And where I come from, that was made fun of. But I wasn't like the rest of them. And that's the way I've continued this journey in the stand-up game. I'm not like you, and that's good. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Because when I started getting like in. And
that should be the name of a book. I'm not like you, and that's okay. That's
okay because
title.
I'm killing. I'm actually killing because I got everybody looking at me like, this is who I want. It's 20,000 of them motherfuckers. Yeah, one of him.
You stand out. Yeah,
yeah, and that's why I just stayed true to myself. It's like I'm not doing that.
Who's laughing now?
Yeah, so if I look back at my resume, if every different comic I've been put on with or different programs I've been put on, it's because I can do it all. I'm diverse. I just don't show up like fear of an all white crowd, fear of a black crowd, fear of whatever. It's like no. I've been out here long enough. I've put in the work that I can.
And at some point, you look at it like a challenge instead of
that's
something
it.
you're afraid of.
It's
like, oh shit, I got an all white crowd tonight, or
man, that's what it is. It's a challenge to become a challenge.
I mean, you've done shows at the country club and stuff all the time, and those people probably laugh some of the hardest.
Yeah, man,
at your jokes.
I've done, and I'll go in front of. I'll do corporate gigs like sheriff department. Mm-hmm. I'll say 80% of them never went to a comedy show.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about 350 people there. 80% of them or more never went to see stand-up comedy. So now I got to go in front of them, different age groups.
But they get to see you in your element.
You got 20.
And we all know cops need to laugh a little bit.
Yeah, but they were all right. It's just I don't even know the other in their 70s.
Yeah,
it was like
so
I don't even know what you're doing. I don't even know what you would do.
Betty White out here.
Yeah,
you just look out in that crowd and go, "You're not going to remember this tomorrow."
But I'm doing it, and they're just sitting there like,
huh?
And then when they get done, they walk up to you and like, "We needed that."
That's so
but
awesome.
they've never been to a comedy show, but
they're almost like afraid to laugh really hard.
Yeah,
because they don't want to be that loud.
Like I've never done this. So
this environment wasn't we came here for the sheriff banquet.
Yeah.
And you so happen to have stand-up comedy and entertainment.
Yeah. Well, a lot of, I mean, that new stand-up comedian, well, he's not new, but he's newer to the scene, Matt Rife. You ever heard? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he blew up, obviously, on TikTok and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He was on Nick Cannon's Wild and Out.
Yeah.
That's where he first started, then he got into stand-up. But at his show, he'll always ask, like, hey, how many of you is it your first time being at a comedy show? And it's like a decent size of the crowd because they were just drawn to, like, him doing his thing, his element, and, seeing him do his thing. And a lot of people always want him to like do crowd work. And he says, why I post crowd work is because if I posted the jokes I did in my set, you wouldn't come because I'd be doing my set. You'd be like, we've heard this.
Not doing my greatest.
So I only post crowd work, but crowd work is a very small part of the show.
Right.
That's
now
why
now he's almost pigeonholed for it. I always say that there's a lot of female Matt Rife fans.
It is.
Right. Oh, yeah, totally. It's because of his image, and he's like a Justin Bieber looking guy.
I think there's two kinds of women. There's women that are Matt Rife fans.
Right.
And there's women that have been victimized by men that look exactly like Matt Rife. And he's a trigger for them.
He's a trigger. That's hilarious. He's a trigger.
That's hilarious.
Well, the other thing the one thing I know from doing shows with Carl, and from even like small little tiny shows that I'd offer Carl in the very beginning when I didn't really even have much to offer, is like, Carl, please come do my tiny ass show, which he did. He did come a couple times, but Carl, by example, Carl's grateful. And what I've noticed in any endeavor, whatever it is, the more grateful you are about the fact that you're doing it, the fact that you have the venue to do it, or the opportunity to do it, the people and the connections to do it, the supplies, the money, the time, the effort, the fact that you have that, if you're grateful for every little bit that you can be, I'm grateful that I get a chance to be up on stage. Even if my show doesn't go well, I'm going to talk to the booker and tell him I'm grateful to be there. And I saw Carl, even at small shows, for me and other people that he's done, it comes up, hey man, thanks for booking me.
Yeah.
And it's a small thing, but it's a lot of other guys, you don't hear anything like that. But I feel like there's this gravitational pull where the more grateful you are in general, the more success comes in.
That's the truth. I agree.
Well, and not only that too, I think that having that gratitude helps when stuff like that happens. Like when you had that Soul Cruise and then they pulled it and said, we're not going to do it. You were just grateful to even be given the opportunity.
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't happening, you have that mindset to be like, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be then.
Yeah. The guy said,
I'll get other opportunities.
I got you in, we'll look at next year. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But because I'm never falling short of gigs, because I always say I'm not hurting for stage time, and I don't do it for money. So I go all the way back to say I'm actually doing what I set my mind to do when I was a teenager when I saw Eddie Murphy. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and I do it on big levels, so I'm good. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So that gratitude always coming in, like, I'm just grateful that I'm doing it. I actually did it. And I'm looking back over the years, like, I'm still doing, like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? I'm still doing it. And even in my mind, I'm like, I know I'm going to meet Eddie Murphy one day. You know what I mean? Even that's part of, like, I know I'm going to meet him because I'm supposed to. But because he's the reason why. So I know I'm going to meet Eddie.
Yeah,
but
you guys are like the same age, right?
I think, no, Eddie my dad. He's my daddy, dude.
Oh, that's solid.
But no, Eddie,
I don't know how it is. Every single episode you manage to make an age joke and somehow it lands. Like that's what when he first was like, I'm going to do comedy. Most guys, I'm like, let's work on it first. With Zach, I was probably like, you're probably going to find. It's like Carl's from Everywhere routine. I grew up in South.
Gosh, man,
Detroit.
I always hit that.
South
he already
Detroit.
said that. I was in Birmingham.
He was
Alabama.
I was in Birmingham. I've been everywhere.
He was on the opposite side of 8 Mile Tract.
I've been everywhere.
He's a gypsy,
which
man.
was a scary area to be.
A scary area.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was.
No, but like I know every shitty music gig I've ever had that allowed me to get up there and play my stuff in the beginning when it was just me and a guitar.
Yeah,
I was grateful for every one of it. It didn't matter if I drove to some back alley, in Medford and played, outside where there was no stage and no lights, all the way to busking on the street and all that stuff. And I wish you could do that more with comedy. That's what we should start. We should start comedy busking, where we just sit on the street, and as people walk by, we just tell them a one-liner. You know, just real quick. Put little cups out. We'll do the Heckleproof busking episode. The three of us just sitting next to each other up against a wall with 3 cans.
Just little one-liners.
Little one-liners.
I take any sweet gig I get is all because I want to be on that stage, because small ones is my opportunity. I want to work on new stuff. Just like I reach out to Levi, I'll be like, hey, when you doing something so I could just work on some new stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love small gigs.
I just like working on stuff. Like I went to Grants Pass and did something for Casey Moran, a little gig he did, but I just wanted to work on stuff. And it's like and the crowd again was not a comedy crowd. They paid. It was very they were very committed and paid because they saw its value in the show. But I just want to work on stuff. I just want to work on anything I can do to work on stuff. Yeah. Because I always know something bigger is coming, and I just want to be able to have all my ducks in a row. Because I want to be excited for that next big thing.
Totally.
And always having new material, always having fresh.
It's crazy how much like different crowds can affect like the direction you go.
That's true. One of the things we've been thinking about, I'm glad you brought that up, is the idea of doing a Heckleproof live.
Yep.
And I know a lot of you guys would probably come out if we threw some kind of show at some point, maybe in the future, somewhat soon.
That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah, they would, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you guys could comment on our video and tell us where you want to see us in the Southern Oregon area. And we'll also be looking around. But we've been flirting with this idea for a long time. Maybe we could even do, have the audience throw out some ideas, and then we could do a quick 5-minute segment based on audience ideas.
Yeah, suggestions.
Yeah.
Audience suggestions.
We'll come to your house. If you got doing an event at your damn house,
come to your house.
Heckleproof.
We'll do a show in your grandmother's basement.
We would. We'll do a show by your grandmother's bedside at the hospital.
That's true.
Yeah, we'll go to the memory care facility tour.
Yeah, we'll go to the manor. We'll go to the manor.
We'll break into your grandmother's room at her hospice care facility and send her over the Rainbow Bridge by doing comedy routines. We really would.
Laughing to death.
We'll do the all-time
That's our tour. Laughing
and
to
just
death.
keep repeating our material.
And you know why? Because we're grateful. We're so grateful for this podcast.
We're grateful.
We're trying to
grateful.
pull
Let's
in
go to the
some
memory
success.
care facilities and tell the same joke over and over again.
We'll go to the all. Yeah,
We'll all tell the same joke.
You know,
and see
that's
which one
not
gets the
a
best.
bad fucking plan, because that's one of the things, like if you do too many shows in a row, you got to have a lot of material. But I could do the same memory care facility
Boom.
night after night and just fucking
I got
kill
10,
the
I got
same
10
routine.
shows
Yep.
tonight, guys.
Oh, that's an amazing idea.
Making money.
That is awesome. Alzheimer's comedy. I'm in it.
Yeah.
I am in it to win it. Now starring Matty J. Oh, wow. I don't remember him from last night. No, you don't.
I remember him from 30 minutes ago.
That's a bit in and of itself. Oh, man.
That's funny.
Well, I appreciate you guys sharing your stories with me and all that stuff. The whole point of this episode was hopefully anybody out there that's trying something new, you've been thinking about doing something new. I know a lot of people talk to me about the podcast that are interested in comedy, and so that's why sometimes I try to steer it in that direction a little bit, talk a little bit more about it. And
Totally.
But whether it's that or it's even just, taking a shot at a promotion or something at work, whatever it is that you're shooting for, go online too. Look up more information about self-doubt and what you can do to get around it. The biggest thing is really just acknowledging that it's always going to be a part in the real far part of your mind. So it's going to be there, but it's about turning that volume down.
Yeah. It's normal to have it, but
the ugly head would stick out.
Yeah.
It was
normal to have it,
stick
but
his head out.
You got to build the right practices.
And that just comes. That's just part of the evolution. Mm-hmm. That's just part of your growth. You got to have like that side of you, that piece of you that just stir you to the opposite side. You got to have it. That's just the way it is. I feel like
I agree.
Well, you guys, I'm happy to be back doing the podcast again here in a new spot.
We're back
doing it.
Back
Like
with the
spinal
boys.
Right.
Thanks, Levi, for your illegal warehouse.
Illegal trafficking.
I forgot to roll cameras. You guys down to do that all over again?
Yeah. Sounds perfect.
In a couple of days.
We could probably do it with more feeling. One more time with more feeling.
Yep.
Levi.
As always, look for Heckleproof online at heckleproofpodcast.com. You can find our podcast streaming anywhere that fine podcasts are available to stream. And also, just wanted to thank the guys. I'm grateful to be able to do this podcast with these fine gentlemen.
Telling you, man.
Grateful to do it with you guys, man.
Telling you.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us wherever fine podcasts are streaming.